internet has made it possible for thousands of people to become millionaires, sometimes even billionaires. However, since this is a platform where you can be anyone you want to be, it has also become a hotspot for scams. We've seen it plenty of times. An influencer shows off their luxurious lifestyle, driving the latest Lamborghini and living in the mansion. They then tell you that if you pay them, they'll teach you how to become just as rich. However, there's one question we often fail to ask. If they had so much money, why would they need $500 from you to tell you how you can achieve the same level of success that they have? Truth is, these showcases of luxury and wealthy lifestyles are often just a front that influencers use to get attention. They then use the following that they build to scam people, sometimes in a way that you don't realize. There's another side to this trend. By talking about your money on the internet, you're essentially exposing yourself. This has caused people to become victims of crime. Flaunting money on the internet has also resulted in some scammers being found out, resulting in charges against them. Hushpuppi was showing off his mansions and influence in real estate on social media. The same goes for Ami and the Hellcat. Tanks, on the other hand, thought he was flaunting his luxurious lifestyle anonymously. What do these three social media icons have in common? Their influence on the internet got them caught in a variety of criminal activities. By showing off their luxury cars, massive houses, expensive clothing, and reckless spending, they drew attention to themselves. Through these activities, they also exposed themselves. You can think of it this way. By talking about their money online, they got caught for what they've been doing in the background to build their wealth, which generally consisted of activities that wouldn't be deemed legal. The internet has opened up opportunities for many people. There are influencers in just about every niche that you can imagine. Some influencers give advice about making money, while others pull pranks on people. These people use this as a way to get attention on the internet and monetize their content, with the ultimate goal of making money. One popular way that people are drawing attention to themselves online is by showing off a luxury lifestyle. You see these people flaunt their brand name watches, bags, clothes, the latest iPhone, and super expensive cars. Many of them claim that they can help you live the same life as they're showing off on social media, but you have to pay them before they'll teach you anything. And taking a closer look at the lives of these influencers, what they teach you as part of these programs they promote is oftentimes not really what they're doing to build their wealth. By putting the attention on them, the truth comes out. And this often leads to investigations that expose the truth behind these social media moguls. The first example I want to look at is Hushpuppi. If you've been following wealth-related YouTube channels, then Hushpuppi is probably a name you find familiar. He's a Nigerian who became famous when he started to show off his wealth while living in Dubai. Born Raymond Olaronwa Abbas in 1982, he branded himself as Ray Hushpuppi when he started to become famous on social media.
Ramon Hushpuppi Abbas seemed to have it all. Shopping trips in Paris with stops at Gucci and Louis Vuitton.
Between 2011 and 2020, Hushpuppi was seen showcasing luxury cars, photographing himself on private jets, and showing off his Gucci handbags on Instagram. He managed to get over 2 million followers in the process and constantly made it clear that he was a billionaire. What you have to consider here is the fact that he had a tough upbringing, often reaching out to local stores to buy bread and beans on credit. When he was in his 20s, he started to become known as Yahoo Boy. It's a local slang word that was used in his hometown in Nigeria to refer to someone who was showing off his money. However, many of the people who knew Hushpuppi when he was still living in Nigeria mentioned that it took him quite a while to get rich. He tried many tactics to help him get money on the internet. He finally found something that worked, although he didn't tell anyone about it. Even his mother commented at one point on the fact that she had no idea how her son was getting his money. At this point, Hushpuppi was making all of his money behind the scenes and not telling anyone anything. He did, however, decide to spend money on luxury items with the goal of showing off his achievements. He later mentioned that he was into real estate and classified himself as self-made real estate mogul. This was seen as he started showing off his spending on houses and mansions, claiming them to be investments. Many people also found that Hushpuppi was spending money recklessly and couldn't understand where it all came from. However, his social media presence also made him a target for the FBI. You see, the FBI was working on an operation that they named Fox Hunt 2. It was related to fraud and criminal activities. Hushpuppi never revealed his actual location and most of the content he posted on Instagram. However, as suspicion about his earnings became an interest to the FBI, they started to track his activities. It was his consistent posting on Instagram that also led the FBI to his location.
Asleep upstairs on the second floor of his apartment. There was a bang on the door, and then suddenly the apartment was full of people with guns. At first he thought they were victims of an armed robbery, but then it quickly turned out it was the Dubai SWAT.
You see, in June 2020, the Dubai police raided an apartment owned by Hushpuppi. It was part of Fox Hunt 2. The apartment was situated in the Palazzo Versace. Arrests were made that night, which included Hush Puppy himself. Apart from Hush Puppy, several other people were arrested on that night. This is because the FBI decided to initiate multiple raids at the same time, which would ensure that the accomplices they were investigating had no way of warning the other people to get away before their apartments could also be raided.
Ramon Abbas is a high-level member of a transnational criminal enterprise out of West Africa that he and his group are responsible for millions and millions of dollars worth of fraud, which is known within the FBI.
Some of the other guys who were arrested during the Fox Hunt 2 mission included Olalekan Panle, Zico, Logic, and Young James. The FBI later revealed details following the arrest. During the raid, they were able to seize several assets from Hush Puppy's property, such as cash, luxury cars, laptops, storage devices, and smartphones. In addition to this, they found details of operations that Hush Puppy had been involved in, with a total of 800,000 emails related to potential victims for scams that he and his associates had been pulling off. It was also mentioned that Hush Puppy had a considerable role to play in a developed cybercrime network. This cybercrime network provided a way for criminals to launder money and store it in what Hush Puppy and others thought would be a safe spot. The money stored here was all stolen from victims who fell prey to the fraudulent scams Hush Puppy used in order to build his riches. This is an excellent example of how talking about money online could backfire. The fact that Hush Puppy was very proud to share his wealth on his Instagram post is what landed him in the center of this investigation. It's also something that contributed to the FBI's ability to track him down. In this particular case, I say it was a good thing he was flaunting his money, as it allowed an ongoing case to capture those involved in criminal activities. Now, this brings me to another case where a YouTuber was showing off just how rich he is, only to land in jail later on. I'm talking about Bill Omar Carrasquillo, or you might know him better as Ami and the Hellcat.
So, the guy that owns a trucking company.
Huh?
The guy that owns this owns a trucking company. He's
Uh,
on the market for
why the hell can't sell it?
he's stuck on a price, and he said they've turned him.
He was born in 1986, and from a young age, he was exposed to drugs. The guardian who was looking after him supposedly sent him to an institute where he got medication. These medications then became drugs that he had to sell on the streets as a teenager. However, he stopped this behavior, and by 2016, Bill decided to start his own business. He partnered up with Michael Barone and Jesse Gonzalez. The business provided a streaming service that was priced at $15 per month. It would allow customers to get access to shows from platforms like HBO, DirecTV, Verizon Fios, and Comcast. It was later found that the technology used to do this was bought from a vendor in China. It allowed the business to remove certain restrictions that came with a cable subscription in order to provide this kind of online streaming platform. The service was shut down by 2019. At this time, there were over 100,000 people who subscribed. The business also gained an estimated $34 million in revenue in the process. As you can imagine, Ami and the Hellcat had a good amount in his bank account by this time. He started the Ami and the Hellcat YouTube channel and decided to start showing off his wealth. Most of the videos he posted on YouTube showed himself with a variety of luxurious items. He frequently displayed a home that he owned in Swedesboro. One of his main bragging points was the fact that Jimmy Rollins, a professional football player, was previously the owner of this house. He also showed viewers his car collection. The collection expanded up to the point where he had 57 different cars. Some of these cars were considered extremely expensive, such as the multiple Lamborghinis that you sometimes see in his video. There's also a Dodge Hellcat as part of his collection, something that could have been inspired by the name he goes by professionally.
The one I had was just double them, just popped out. So this is actually incredible. Something different, but to record vlogs is probably be the best thing you could ever use, because when you're doing B-roll coming down the highway, you can pop the top back and you can just stick out the top.
His videos would sometimes also show him destroying some of the valuable items he owned, such as in the video, Ami and the Hellcat crashes his boat. Life was looking great for Ami and the Hellcat, but people started to question how he was able to continue spending so much money. Sure, he made millions with the streaming service, but it got shut down. Well, things changed in November 2019. The FBI had been working on a case and linked certain events to Ami and the Hellcat. This led to a raid through his home on the 27th of November. During the raid, the FBI took his money, expensive jewelry pieces that he had been showing off on his social media channels, and all of the cars he had collected by then. By September 2021, the FBI indicted Ami and the Hellcat on a total of 62 criminal counts. This was a lot of criminal counts. So in total, It was decided that he could face as many as 514 years in prison. Ami and the Hellcat insisted on the fact that he was innocent. However, the FBI already linked him to these cases. There were 6 criminal counts that involved wire fraud. He was also charged with 19 cases where he did a public performance of protected work. Even though Ami and the Hellcat decided to say he was innocent, a few months later, in February 2022, he decided to plead guilty. The case was not brought to the court until the 8th of March. Ami and the Hellcat appeared in front of the judge. He was sentenced to serve 5 years and 6 months in the federal prison. The influencer was also issued a fine of $30 million that he had to pay. They made several charges against him on that day for tax evasion, money laundering, fraud, copyright infringement, and conspiracy. The FBI took ownership of his cars and jewelry, which they sold through auctions. Once again, we must consider how he got the attention of the FBI. It was because Ami and the Hellcat was talking about money online. He was flaunting his wealth, showing off brand name watches, really expensive jewelry, and over 50 luxury cars as part of his collection. He constantly reminded his followers of his wealth, and this is likely something that contributed to the fact that he came under investigation by the FBI. At first, the world thought that the main reason he became in trouble with the law was due to the video streaming service he created with a business partner. However, once the truth was revealed, people quickly started to realize it was much more. He landed in trouble for money laundering, fraud, and tax evasion as well. Clearly, he wasn't paying his taxes and doing illegal things in the background to ensure he was able to keep his wealth and continue to talk about his wealth on the internet. Some scammers are very smart and hide behind a mask. It gives them a sense of anonymity and makes them feel protected and in control. However, what happens when this type of scammer says too much to the point where he's caught out and his real identity is revealed? Well, that's something that can be said for a YouTuber and social media influencer who calls himself Tanks.
I think you got scammed still, bro.
That's how I scam you, nigga.
Tanks have been posting a wide variety of content on his YouTube channel, but things have changed regarding how he's making these videos over the last couple of years. You see, when he started out, he became famous for wearing a mask that's similar to the ones associated with an internet group known as Anonymous. He flaunted his wealth, but also focused on telling people just how easy it is to participate in fraud and get away with it. He essentially thought of himself as above the law, so he even started to offer people access to personal information about potential victims, as well as files that could help his clients realize how to make money through these fraudulent schemes. His videos often also included things that would show you how much money he has. There are videos where he decided to spend a certain amount of money in the city, while others go into detail about how much he lost doing something.
I know this shit ain't gonna work, bro. I know they probably going away.
If you take a look at more recent videos, you'll notice that he's been mostly focusing on a podcast named Click It. However, you have to go a bit back to see what really happened with this YouTuber. When he was selling personal information, including email addresses, names, and credit card details, he was always behind the mask. However, once again, thanks to him showing off everything he was able to buy from the money he technically stole, investigators were able to find small hints in his content and expose Tanks. The downfall of the social media influencer started when BBC Panorama began to investigate him. At the start of their investigation, they had little information to go on in order to identify Tanks. However, one of the people who led the investigation decided to start off by contacting Tanks on social media and buying the package he was offering. Kafui Akpata, who led the investigation, paid €100 to Tanks in order to get access to the package. The thing is, Tanks was smart in how he marketed the package. He used slang words like fools, which meant full information. Tanks said that he was selling methods. Kafui received a link through a DM from Tanks' social media account. The link led to a folder on the cloud that contained a total of 43 files. Several of these files offered a detailed explanation of how a person could exploit digital stores. The files didn't contain personal information like credit cards by itself, but did contain a link to a platform where this was available. However, this wasn't the goal of the investigation. Kafui started to take a closer look at all these videos Tanks had been uploading to YouTube while also focusing on his other platforms, including Instagram. At this point, the investigation already made a notable discovery. Apart from the typical videos that Tanks was posting, he also had several music videos, one being called London Scammer. The lyrics of this video were interesting to Kafui, as they contained some helpful hints that led the investigators to think the real person behind the mask was a student living in Wembley, a location in London. They were also able to understand from the lyrics that he was likely studying to get a degree in economics and finance.
That's what I'm sipping. Money, that's what I'm missing. Look, I'm a London scammer. I see it, I want it, I click it. Nights in the band or Paris whipping. When the statement started clicking.
By further analyzing these videos, the investigators were able to identify a very unique looking carpet in one clip. Upon further research, they found there was a complex in Wembley showcasing that exact department in an advertisement. When Kafui stationed himself at that complex, he discovered a guy who had the exact same clothes on as what Tanks was wearing in a social media post he published earlier that day. It was later revealed that the real person behind the mask is known as Luke Joseph. And once again, similar to the other cases, this goes to show how talking about money online is something that's better avoided. It can come back and backfire. Even when you're not doing anything illegal, it still puts a mark on your head. When flaunting money online, it's important to understand what you can expect. It's like walking into a neighborhood that's known for crime and gangs, showing off your Gucci bag and your Rolex on your wrist. Influencers who have been showing off their wealth on the internet often become the target of criminal activities, as they're essentially putting a target on their own head. Apart from being targeted by criminals, many influencers have also been caught for defrauding people and being involved in criminal activities due to their presence on social media. While a social media presence can be useful, if you don't think carefully about the content that you put up, it could just backfire on you.